Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. The lasagna was still in the oven when I heard her heels hit the tile. I hadn't planned on making dinner, but something about the silence in the house needed to be filled, even if it was just with fake domesticity and burnt cheese. She walked in humming, that same careless tune she always used after a glass of red wine or a flirty meeting with her boss. I didn't turn around right away. I just listened to the jingle of her keys, the unzip of her leather tote, the unmistakable joy in her footsteps. Then came her voice. "Smells amazing. What's the occasion?" I could have said Thursday. I could have said you, but instead I stayed silent. She came closer. I heard the hesitation in her step. The scent of unfamiliar cologne followed her like a shadow. Not mine, and not the hotel's either. Something earthy, strong, masculine. "I missed you," she said, wrapping her arms around me from behind. Her smile pressed against my shoulder. And that's when I handed it to her. A single envelope. No words, no warning, just her name written across the front. She paused, pulled her arms back, looked down, then up at me. "What's this?" Still no words. She opened it. Inside, a printed screenshot of the hotel room charge. 2 dinners, a bottle of Syrah, spa treatment for 2, and below it a photo. It was blurry, taken from a distance, but clear enough. Her, on the balcony of a suite, wearing a robe that wasn't hers, and standing far too close to a man who definitely wasn't me. Her smile vanished. In a blink, the warmth in her voice collapsed into a cold stutter. Wait, this isn't what it looks like." I finally turned to face her. "No," I said. "It's exactly what it looks like." And for the first time in a long time, she had nothing clever to say. The oven dinged. The lasagna was ready. But suddenly, no one was hungry. She just stood there, gripping the photo like it might dissolve if she blinked. I didn't expect tears, not from her. Faye wasn't the kind to cry when cornered. No, she calculated. You could almost hear the gears turning behind her eyes as she scanned for an escape route, a version of reality where she was still the victim. This is insane," she finally said, her voice trembling in all the wrong ways. "Where did you get this? Were you following me?" I almost laughed, like I was the problem here. I just stared at her, no anger, no yelling. Just quiet, pathetic disappointment that hurt her more than if I'd screamed. I saw it in her jaw, the way it tightened like she was clenching 1,000 unsaid justifications between her teeth. "You had someone follow me?" she asked again, stepping closer, her face tightening into something almost offended. "That's sick, Clive." There it was, the shift, the gaslight. She was going to make this about me, about my audacity to doubt her, not her decision to hum on balconies with someone else's cologne on her skin. I stayed silent. I let her dig her hole. I was at the conference. Yes, I had dinner. Yes, there was wine. But that doesn't mean what you think it means. "Did you share a bed?" I asked, calmly. She froze. Just a blink. A skip in the record. "I'm not having this conversation with you if you're going to twist everything," she muttered, walking past me toward the stairs like she was the one who had been ambushed. "I'm tired. I just got home. And you ambush me with this insanity." That word again, insanity. Like I was unhinged for holding evidence. "You told me you were staying in a Marriott," I said, my voice cracking despite my best effort to sound firm. "The bills from the Avalon. Why lie about the hotel?" She stopped on the second step. Didn't turn around. "You checked the hotel?" "No," I said. "The guy who took the photo did." Now she turned. Her face wasn't red from embarrassment or guilt. It was pale. Panic, raw and real, finally pushed past the mask. For once, I saw something genuine in her expression. I wish it had been love. I thought maybe she'd cry, or scream, or admit it. Anything but what she actually did next. She disappeared upstairs. I stood in the hallway for a full minute, paralyzed by the quiet thud of her footsteps above me. I listened for drawers opening, for closet doors creaking. She wasn't stomping. She wasn't slamming. That scared me more than rage ever could. Faye was calm, cold, like someone who had rehearsed this moment before I even suspected a thing. Then came the sound that made my chest hollow out, a suitcase unzipping. I forced myself up the stairs. I didn't want to, but I had to, and there she was, standing in front of the dresser, folding clothes like she was late for a weekend trip. Her wedding ring was sitting on top of the nightstand. She hadn't worn it during the work trip, but she always put it back on the second she got home. Not this time. "I'll go stay at a hotel," she said without looking at me. "Clearly, you don't trust me, and I'm not staying here just to be interrogated." I should have stopped her, fought, pleaded. Instead, I stood in the doorway like a kid who just got caught faking sick to skip school. "Why not just admit it?" I asked quietly. "If it's over, say it." She chuckled, dry, bitter. "You always need something dramatic, don't you? Closure, tears, a villain. Maybe I just needed space. Maybe I wanted to feel something other than routine. That hit harder than the photo ever could. So that's what I was now, routine. Not a partner. Not someone she built a life with. Just another checkbox she was too exhausted to keep ticking. I wanted to scream, to throw her stupid designer bag out the window. Instead, I said the one thing that had been rotting in my gut for months. "Is he worth it?" She stopped folding, just froze for a second too long. Then, like nothing mattered, she zipped the suitcase and said, "I don't know yet." And with that, she walked past me, dragging 13 years of marriage behind her on wheels. I didn't follow her down the stairs. I didn't watch her leave. I just sat on the bed, staring at the empty spot on her nightstand where her ring used to be. For the first time since we met, it felt like I was living with a stranger. Only now she was gone. The house was too quiet without her. That's the first thing I noticed. Not peaceful, just eerily still, like everything inside had been unplugged. The fridge hummed louder. The floor creaked more often, and I couldn't sleep in our bed. Not when her perfume still clung to the pillow she used to steal from me in the middle of the night. I spent 2 days pretending I was fine, cleaning things that didn't need cleaning, rearranging kitchen drawers like organization could hold me together. But the third night broke me. I sat in the dark, scrolling through old photos on her laptop, the one she hadn't taken with her. Some weird part of me thought maybe I'd find something comforting. A reminder of who she used to be before things cracked in places I never noticed. Instead, I found the drafts folder. There was only one unsent message. No subject line, just a name in the to field. Not Dale. Not anyone from her office. It was someone I didn't recognize. Malcolm. Cornerstone at. The name meant nothing, but the email? It hit like a train I didn't see coming. "I've been thinking about what you said. About leaving him. It scares me, not because I don't want to, but because I don't know if I deserve something real. You make me feel like I haven't been faking it for years. When I'm with you, I forget how numb I've become. I didn't plan any of this, but I don't want it to stop. I'll call you tomorrow, same time." I read it 3 times, then a 4th. My stomach turned to stone. This wasn't a fling. This wasn't just space or feeling something new. This was emotional betrayal, layered, careful, intimate. She wasn't running from boredom. She was running to someone. And that someone made her feel more alive than the life she built with me. I could have closed the laptop. Could have pretended I never saw it. But instead, I clicked search and typed his name. One result. A calendar event. Dinner am. Cornerstone, the Sycamore Room. Thursday, 6 p.m. Tomorrow night. She was planning to see him again. Publicly. Comfortably. Like nothing had ever happened. That's when I decided I wouldn't stay invisible anymore. I'd never been to the Sycamore Room before. It was the kind of place you reserve for anniversaries or proposals, not Thursday night affairs. The parking lot was dim, but the entrance was glowing, golden and inviting, like it was trying to erase what people came there to hide. I sat in my car across the street, engine off, hands trembling over the steering wheel for nearly 20 minutes before I worked up the courage to go inside. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Not my brother. Not the friend who kept telling me to wake up months ago. I wasn't even sure what I was doing. I didn't have a plan. All I knew was that she was in there, with him, and I needed to see it with my own eyes. Needed to know I wasn't just unraveling in my head. The hostess gave me a polite smile. I asked for a table by the window. She offered to seat me near the fireplace. I declined. The window gave me a better view, not of the outside, but of the far booth near the bar. That's where I saw her. Faye. She was radiant. I hate that I thought that. Her hair was curled like she was heading to a gala, not a casual dinner. Her dress was emerald green, short-sleeved, low at the neck. The one she used to say was too much for me. She was laughing, a real laugh, one I hadn't heard in years. It shook me. Across from her sat a man in a navy blazer. His hand was resting casually near hers on the table. They weren't touching, but they didn't need to. Their body language spoke in ways I'd never mastered. They shared a bottle of wine. She reached across the table, brushed something from his sleeve, and he grinned like she just kissed him. I wanted to storm over, wanted to slap the wineglass from the table. But instead, I took out my phone, opened the camera, and zoomed in. Not to expose her, not for revenge, but because I needed proof. For myself. Proof that she was gone. Proof that she wasn't coming back. When she stood to use the restroom, I got up and followed. Not into the restroom. I'm not insane. But I waited near the hallway, just far enough to intercept her without a scene. When she turned the corner and saw me standing there, everything about her changed. The color drained from her face. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Still just getting space? I asked quietly. She blinked. And for a moment, I saw something break behind her eyes. She didn't speak. Not at first. Just stared at me like I was a ghost that wandered into the wrong memory. Her hand went instinctively to her necklace. Not the one I gave her on our 10th anniversary, but something new. Thinner. Lighter. Like everything she'd become lately. I didn't expect you to actually come here, she said finally, voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. That makes two of us. She looked around, probably scanning for Malcolm, probably calculating how long she had before he noticed she was gone too long. She wasn't afraid I'd cause a scene. Faye always knew I wouldn't. That was part of the game. She'd built her betrayal on the assumption that I'd keep folding in on myself. You followed me? She asked, not angry, more tired, like I was just another interruption. I read the email. You left it open. That landed. Her shoulders dropped. There was no use denying it now, and we both knew it. She leaned against the hallway wall, arms crossed, but not in defense, in defeat. I wasn't trying to hurt you, Clive, she said. And for a second, she almost looked like the woman I married. I couldn't keep pretending. I don't even know when I stopped loving you. Maybe it was slow. Maybe it was all at once. I opened my mouth, then closed it. My throat burned. There was too much I wanted to say, and none of it mattered. Then she said the thing that destroyed what little I had left. You were easy to leave. That sentence will echo in my head until the day I die. Not I had to. Not I'm sorry. Just that you were easy to leave. It wasn't about Malcolm. It wasn't about passion or temptation. It was about comfort. I had become background noise in my own marriage. I didn't realize I was crying until I saw her flinch at the sight of my face. I gave you everything I had, I whispered. She nodded, eyes glossy but still dry. And I gave it back for years, Clive. But I'm not going to keep lying to both of us. He didn't ruin us, we were already broken. He just reminded me what not being broken felt like. Then she stepped around me, back to her table, back to him, back to her new life. And I stood in that hallway, watching her walk away, realizing I was no longer even part of her story. Just the final chapter she skimmed to get to the good part. I didn't drive home right away. I sat in the car with the headlights off, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping me tethered to the earth. I replayed her words. You were easy to leave, over and over until they carved themselves into the lining of my skull. The kind of sentence that doesn't echo. It just stays. I must have looked like a lunatic parked outside that restaurant, half-shadowed, fully undone. A few waitstaff passed by when their shift ended. No one looked twice. And that was fitting. I felt invisible anyway. But then I saw them. Through the frosted glass of the restaurant's front window, she was laughing again. The kind of laugh that shakes the shoulders and makes people lean in closer. Malcolm leaned in too. Their wine glasses were gone. Now it was dessert, 2 spoons, 1 plate. Her hand brushed his. Again. I shouldn't have gone back inside. I know that now. But something took over. Maybe it was desperation. Or maybe it was spite. I walked in quietly and stayed just out of their sight line, hovering near the hallway between the bar and restrooms. From there I could hear them. Not every word, but enough. He asked, "So, did you finally tell him?" She sipped her drink. "Not exactly. He kind of figured it out. Showed up here." Malcolm chuckled. "Seriously?" He looked like a kicked dog. It was pathetic. I froze. She continued, too casually. "I don't know how I stayed with him that long. I felt like I was dying." "You didn't tell him about the apartment, did you?" Malcolm asked, lowering his voice slightly. She shook her head. "No, not yet. I'll do it after the weekend. 1 bomb at a time." They had an apartment. An apartment. A whole separate life I never knew existed. Not a fling. Not a slip. Plan. A future. She wasn't trying to escape me. She was replacing me. Efficiently. Quietly. Like you swap out old furniture and throw the rest to the curb. I stumbled back into the hallway, barely breathing. My vision blurred for a second. I gripped the wall to steady myself and nearly knocked over a tray of glasses a waiter was carrying. That sound? It finally drew attention. She saw me. For a split second, our eyes locked across the restaurant. Her face drained again, but it didn't look like guilt this time. It looked like annoyance. Like I had overstayed a welcome that was never really mine. I left without another word. What could I say that would matter? She had already rewritten the ending. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't cry either. It was something in between. A state where your mind keeps replaying every detail, and your body just exists. Numb. Still. Staring at walls and ceiling fans and wondering how love can rot quietly while you're busy checking expiration dates on the milk. By morning, I had made my decision. I packed slowly. Not angrily, that was the weird part. There was no rage, no theatrics. Just silence. Peaceful, almost. I folded my shirts the way I always had. Took only what I needed. Left the rest like a museum of who I used to be. And then I wrote the letter. I didn't call her names. Didn't accuse her. Didn't beg. I just wrote the truth. You didn't destroy me, Faye. You freed me. And while you were planning a future with someone else, I was still hoping for a sign of life in what we had. But last night, that was my sign. I watched you laugh like you never needed me. And maybe that's okay. Maybe I was never meant to be your forever. But I'm done holding on to something that doesn't want to be held. Don't look for me. I'm not hiding. I'm healing. I left it on the nightstand next to her ring. Then I left. Not to a friend's couch. Not to a hotel. I drove 6 hours to the coast. Rented a small cabin with creaky floors and salt in the air. I brought books I hadn't touched in years. I listened to music that used to make me feel. I didn't check social media. I didn't open my email. I just existed without her. And day by day, something strange happened. I came back to life. I started cooking again. Smiled at strangers. I even signed up for a pottery class, of all things. I was the worst in the room, but it didn't matter. For once, nothing had to be perfect. I was finally okay with being imperfect. It's been 5 months now. I haven't heard from her. And I don't think I will. But sometimes, I wonder if she ever finds herself laughing too loudly in a restaurant and remembers the man who once waited for her to come home smiling. And if she does, I hope she knows I'm smiling too. Somewhere far away and finally free. Thank you for sticking with Clive's journey through heartbreak and healing. We want to hear from you. What moment in this story hit you the hardest? And have you ever experienced something similar? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. And don't forget to subscribe to Reddit Confessions, where the messiest endings sometimes lead to the cleanest beginnings.